Well, I think I'll start introducing everything.
Okay.
So thank you very much for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking about exciting stuff. So regulations, anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist funding, all the usual like everyday stuff that, okay, maybe not every day for most of us, but as a crypto industry is really tied in with the financial industry, it's pretty useful to be aware of these kind of nuances. And especially this year, we had a lot of changes. So the new European anti-money laundering directives, they've brought up along a bunch of new changes that crypto companies also have especially needed to adapt to. So there's a lot to uncover and a lot to unpack. And we'll also be discussing a little bit about the Estonian crypto license situation, which also had some big changes in this year. And we've got a special guest today. We got Artem Ponomarov, and he does basically compliance for a chain analysis product called AMLbot. So it's one of the leading projects of its kind I think in Eastern Europe, maybe in all of Europe. So they've done a great work, and the project has been around for like a year and a half. So they made a lot of good progress so far. And I've had a talk with him already. So he's pretty knowledgeable in this field, I feel. And of course, we'll have like a bit of a back and forth discussion. So I'm going to share my take on a couple of the situations and recent events, and we'll get Artyom's perspective also. And I'll introduce the meetups a little bit more also, because some of you I see are here for the first time. Of course, we have some familiar faces also. Thanks for joining in again. So the meetups, first, we got started in, I believe, 2018. And at the time, I saw that there was like no crypto meetups in Estonia. And, I was in Asia at the time, actually. And I saw that, in Korea, they have like huge crypto scene. And in Japan, they have like, the Bitcoin meetups are weekly, and they were like packed of people. So it was really exciting, really busy times, especially at the height of crypto boom in late 2017 and early 2018. So it was really exciting times, but I was looking at Estonia, and I wasn't even here yet, but I was looking like, okay, there's no meetups happening. Like, why is this the case? And I was like, okay, we need to make something happen. And I just, created the group, and it just like slowly got started from there. And we've had a bunch of events till now. Typically, back in the day when we had live events, we used to have audiences from 20 to 40 people. And at our very peak, we had one event that was featuring Polkadot and Fluence, and that one had like 75, almost 80 people in audience. So it was like really like full house. So it was really exciting times. But now, after the Corona stuff and also a hiatus from the meetups, we're slowly starting to ramp things up again. So these online events are something new that we're kind of trying out. So hopefully it will become like a more regular thing, and people will, enjoy them, find them interesting. I've got, some pretty exciting plans for next month also. And the topic then will be decentralized finance. So it's like a really hot topic right now. And I've got some, pretty good topics in mind for the next month's meetup. So that'll be on 25th of September. So, book your calendars. And right now for our meetups, we are experimenting with this combination style. We have one kind of meetup where we have a bar kind of event. So it's called Bitcoin and Beer, and we just gather up in the old town in a nice cozy bar called Cecil. So the last event was, last week. And unfortunately I wasn't there, but it sounds like the guys had a ton of fun. So that's always exciting, and that's like a surefire thing. And the second part is also the monthly webinar style events. So these webinar style events are like a really new thing that we're experimenting with. And today's event will be like the first like main run that we're trying this out. So seeing if the format works. And it'll be really appreciated if you guys can give your feedback also either after the event or just shoot me like a message on Meetup and tell me like what did you like, what didn't you like, and if you feel that it was exciting and engaging overall. And all of the feedback will be used to improve future events. So hopefully find it enjoyable. And for today's event format, we've basically, Artem is first gonna give us a bit of background about himself and also the AMLbot project. So he has a few slides, he's gonna go through them. But after that, I'll be guiding the discussion and asking him, various different AML and compliance related questions. And we'll just, gradually cruise the discussion across different topics. So the EU regulatory landscape, I'll discuss a little bit about the Estonian situation, and we'll be also chatting about what the future of the industry is going to be looking like and what we might expect to see in the upcoming years in the compliance field. So we've got it planned out. So yeah, I think the floor is yours. You can give yourself a little bit of an introduction, and you can also share what the project AMLbot like really represents.
Okay, thanks, Hans. My name is Artem, and I actually now I'm in Ukraine, in Kiev, and I represent the AMLbot company. So as Hans already told, AMLbot is a comprehensive tool for checking the history of your crypto. So you can see if your cryptocurrency was connected with illicit activity using our service. But I will talk about this a little bit later. So we are already on this area 1.5 years. So actually it was even before this boom for AML in crypto. And at the beginning, it was a little bit difficult, especially in our area, I mean, post-Soviet Union region, to explain people what's AML for crypto is it really a problem, and why? Because at the beginning, even let's say Bitcoin. So I will speak about crypto, and Bitcoin will be like an example. So at the beginning, Bitcoin was very popular because it was not traceable. It was anonymous currency, cryptocurrency, and everybody thought about that it will be for forever. But during last, let's say, 3 years, even before, some companies start to track connections of Bitcoin addresses with real entities. And yeah, it's a long story how they can do it. So I can't show you this during this presentation, but I will try to explain in general what is AML for crypto, why it's a problem, and what's going on during this like 1 year, like especially 2020. It's a special year for crypto and regulation in the whole world. So let's try to share my screen. Yep. Can you see this? Yeah, oh, I can hear you, Hans. Yeah, I think you are muted now.
Yeah,
yeah,
we can
okay.
see it.
Okay, great. So, okay, a little bit about myself as well, because I was at the beginning when I came to AMLbot company, I read a lot about regulation for crypto and wrote some articles and explained people why it's a problem and how to solve it. So the next slide. So AML, it's anti-money laundering, as you know, and I need to mention that it was not created like 3 years before. So anti-AML was for fiat currency like already 30 years, and this organization FATF, it's I will tell about this later, but it's international organizations. They did anti-money laundering for fiat currency like 30 years already. And only last year, from the last year, they released a special recommendation for the whole world, and it was for crypto. So, and as I told before, that due to anonymity of Bitcoins, let's say, the crypto was used for various fields, and we can understand that sometimes it was a lot of times that it was illegal activities. Yeah, so there are different types of these activities. You know about terrorist finance and financial and drug dealers, so on. So, and that's why some companies like Chainalysis, the most known company in the world, they can link this. Let me try. Yeah, they can link this cryptocurrency with real activities in the world. But how big is this problem? You can ask me, and this is the slide which can show you some statistics for during 3 last years. This is a screenshot from Chainalysis report, and you can see that the flow of dirty coins transaction, it's a billions of USD, and you see that last year, just after this news about regulation, there was a bigger amount of dirty coins transaction online. But in general, the whole amount, the ratio of all this dirty crypto transaction connecting, comparing to the other, let's say, clean crypto, clean Bitcoins, it was not so big. It was like a little bit more than 1% of dirty coins in general. But anyway, some organizations like FBI and other international and governmental and organization, they want to trace all these dirty coins, and they want to block them. So there is some big problem nowadays. And I want to show you some activities which could be really risky, like what is illicit activities. So this is a type of sources for illicit activities in our AMLbot software. So we can trace like 18 nowadays sources, but here are some examples. And you can see that dark market, dark service, illegal service, this one is the biggest problem on the market. So if somebody have a connection of their Bitcoin address with these activities, this could be a really big problem for them, because they could be blocked on exchange. They could be, actually that's the main problem. So if they want to deposit these coins to the exchange can block them, because they can see this connection with these illicit services. Another one, like scams, stolen coins, ransom, it's also, we call it like a dirty crypto, but it's less risky, and you can see some like clear connection. Yeah, and so, oh, sorry, something here, it's still in Ukrainian, but it's sorry for that, I will explain it. So why 2020 is so important for crypto? Because I mentioned before, this organization, FATF, Financial Action Task Force, they released last year, at the end of June last year, they released the rules for whole countries. So how they can regulate the crypto in their financial system. So actually, this is a recommendation for whole countries in the world, how they can put cryptocurrency in their laws system. So they need to adapt some laws in their countries. And as you see here, AML5, it's only for Europe Union. So actually, FAT and AML5, it's the same type of recommendation, but FAT gives recommendation for whole countries in the world, but AML5, it's only for European countries. And there is some recommendation for governments, how they can change their laws to regulate cryptocurrency in their countries. Maybe, okay, Hans, maybe you can ask some questions about this part. Is it clear?
Sure. I mean, it kind of makes sense, yeah. So essentially, AML5 is focused on Europe, yeah, and the greater jurisdiction is recommendations from FATF.
Yep, yeah. And there was a deadline for this FAT recommendation. They gave 1 year from the last year till the end of this June, yeah. And at the end of this June, they released so-called 12 months FAT review. So this slide about AML5. So it's like for Europe. And there are a lot of norms, a lot of parts, how they can do it, how countries could monitor, regulate the crypto in their countries. And you can see this table with comparison for crypto companies. It's like before AML-D5 and after this recommendation. So what they should do with their business inside their companies in order to protect themselves from these illicit activities, from this dirty crypto. So
what do you feel is the biggest change? Which one of these do you think that has changed the most?
The biggest change, it was a lot of news about that when countries, for example, like Netherlands, they were very strict in their laws to the crypto companies, and some of them complained that they will not survive after these rules. They need to adopt a lot of new features and a lot of new things, let's say, like compliance officer. Compliance officer, it's a guy who they need to hire in order, so this person should provide like protection for the company from dirty money. So it's not it was not obligated for crypto companies, but nowadays they need to, you can see in this table what they need to add to their company to be compliant with these rules. And the biggest problem is that in the end they need to have a lot of these things, so they maybe don't have resources for that, you know, and they complain that they will not survive after that, so it's too strict for them. And yes, you know that some customers of this service, they are maybe not, they don't want to go through this KYC, for example.
Right.
You know, yeah, KYC, it was the main problem. And it's obligated now, it's not obligated for the whole companies, but for some parts of their business. For example, if it's crypto to crypto company, they don't deal with fiat, yeah? So they don't need to do, it's not so obligated to do KYC. But it's, if they're related with crypto to fiat, they need to adopt all these rules. And it depends on the country, it depends on the companies, on the business. And I can't tell you the whole situation in whole countries in the world or only in Europe. There is only recommendation, but how they put this, how governments of different countries implement this recommendation, it's a question. So you need to actually about Estonia. You need to read about rules, especially for Estonia, you know, because there could be some difference from a general recommendation. And I just want to recommend that you don't need to see for the FATF recommendation. You can read just AML 5D recommendation, because that's only for Europe, yeah? And actually, the laws in your countries is the main part, yeah? So you don't need, you should be careful. You don't need to think that, oh, something is going on in the Netherlands, so the same will be in Estonia. Yeah, it could be, but it's not true. So you need to be up to date for your countries,
So one of the things I would like to add is that, as you mentioned, typically, if you're doing crypto to fiat, then of course you should be doing the AML and KYC stuff. But one of the things to also keep in mind is that these directives are not only limited to fiat dealing companies. So there are still, depending on the country, there may be regulations that apply to crypto wallet providers. Mm-hmm. And that still applies to like every exchange site. So even if you're doing only like crypto to crypto, then it still applies to you. And Estonia also has its, you know, crypto wallet licenses that basically you should have if you're operating any service that accepts, like for example, customer crypto funds, mm-hmm. like deposits and such.
But what do you mean they need to implement these rules? I mean, like in general, do they need to do KYC only, or also checking for AML? So it's like tracing their connection with dirty crypto.
So it depends. So of course, if you're dealing with fiat, then you have more like strict regulations. Uh-huh. But even for like crypto wallet providers, I'm not sure if you need to actually do like chain analysis tracing. Mm-hmm. So maybe that would be worth looking into. But you definitely need like a license, and you need your basis. You know, they actually like go through like what you're doing, and you need like a certain amount of capital, and you need like a certain amount of like operations in place, and you have to actually like disclose what kind of business you're running. So you can't be like, oh, I'm just buying like a license and then I'm going to do like whatever with it. So actually you have to justify your business, and they'll look into it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there is another things I want to mention, that at the beginning I didn't say that there is two types of this monitoring. So first one is all well-known KYC. Yeah. So what is KYC? It's presenting your identity, customer due diligence. So who are you exactly? And AML, it's what you have with you. It's not about the personality or identity. It's about your money. And I have this comparison with customs. So when you go to another country, yeah, you go two types of checks on the border. Yeah, so you can present your passport and show who you are. Yeah, and this is KYC. And then you need to scan your luggage. So what you have with you. And they do this X-ray scanning. So this is AML. So first, so the same will be on the service. You need to do KYC, and they do AML checking for you. So actually, if you deposit money to the exchange, you need to register yourself. You need to provide KYC, and AML tracing they will do for you. You will even didn't know about that. So, for example, one day the same was for OTC traders mostly. So they have account and they have address, for example, let's say on Binance, yeah, exchange, and they accept money from some customers, and everything was great. But someday, some bad guy from darknet can deposit some really dirty bitcoins, like big amount, and this account of this OTC trader will be blocked. So that's the main problem in general right now. Because yeah, there are a lot of things like scam. It's yeah, it's a big problem. It's a counter terrorist, financial, and illicit activities. It's a big problem, but I mean, it's maybe not so global in general. The amount of bitcoins are big comparing to others, but not so many people involved. The big problem we are discussing now, it's crypto services which used to work legally. Yeah, they maybe not so connected with the darknet. Yeah, and usual traders, OTC brokers, so they don't used to work with the dirty money. Sometimes they even didn't know that, oh my God, I got some money from somebody and this money was dirty, and that's why I was blocked. And they can stuck for a long time with their businesses, because you know, if you do this trading, then you can be blocked for several months just because you didn't know what's the problem, where did you get this dirty money. So that could be the problem, another problem, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you had one of the slides that illustrated it a bit also.
Yeah, okay. So just I want to mention here about FATF report this year. Yeah, so I told that FATF gave 1 year for all countries in the world to implement these rules, yeah, in their laws. And it was, I think, not all even countries in Europe did that, because deadline. Okay, there is some funny stuff. So there is FATF obligations at deadline from FATF, and AML 5D for Europe, it also obligated to implement these rules by January of this year. So it were like two deadlines. One deadline was for European countries, and it was in January already. And another one was from FATF for the whole world, and it was in this June, in the end of this June. And I just read recently the news from Iceland that they implemented this, they accepted these laws in their laws just this month. So they actually were after deadline. And the main problem, the main question for me was like, okay, guys, what will be for these countries who did not do it before the deadline? Yeah, nobody knows. So FATF told that they will put these countries in the gray list or even blacklist. So if you will not do anything with cryptocurrency, with compliance obligation, then these countries will be in the black or gray list. And what will be with this list? So there will be some strict, how to say, so they can do something with their finance. Yeah. And for blacklist, they even could be blocked from, it's like sanctions, you know, it could be on some sanction for these countries. But
yeah, you don't want those.
Yeah, it's some, there are already some countries in this blacklist, but it's like North Korea, Iran, or I don't remember another one. It's not so many.
That actually reminds me of a really cool anecdote. So I saw like a few years ago on an ICO site, we are not accepting any investors from these countries, North Korea, Iran, and United States.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a classic.
Yeah, United States is also, I don't know.
No, it's because of the securities law. That's why.
I understand. I mean, but in general, there are a lot of news from Europe, a lot of news about this, about implementation, about compliance, about monitoring, but not so many from US. You know, because I can read that some companies like in New York was seized by some regulators, but
New York has their.
Yeah, it was not like global news from US that they implemented this, not of, because it's another world.
So there actually is a thing. I believe it's New York. They actually have this thing called BitLicense, and it's really not so good for the crypto companies. So when I was working for a crypto exchange, basically we just stopped operating in New York. Like it would be possible to, put up a lot of effort and get the New York crypto license, but it's so costly and it's so time consuming. And at the end of the day, you have to consider if all the like legal effort is really worth it. And if it's not worth it for like a, like $1 billion+ company, like a really meaningful one, then how is it justifiable for any like small crypto startups? So the New York bit license was like a failure to begin with. And I don't think it has gotten better over the last, okay, maybe it has improved a little bit, but I don't think it's like at a good state now. But yeah, please carry on.
Oh yeah, so I just want to finish about this FATF report. So they give another year, so at the end of this June, they released the report and told, okay, these countries implemented our recommendation, another one did not, but just because of the corona, we can extend, so we can postpone the deadline for another 1 year. So it was not so strict, let's say, once again. So, and they told in the end of June 2021, we will review all other countries and we will release another report. And in the end of this October, they will provide a new recommendation. So I want to say that that's ongoing process. It's not like they released something and that's it, and you need to implement that. No, the market is very fast and they want to be up to date. They release new recommendation and they have meetings like several times a year. Okay, so that's about in general problem. And I want to say something about this transaction monitoring. And as I told before, there is something like okay, here we go.
Let me do like a really quick overview of what this transaction monitoring really represents. So if you imagine that you're buying a car, you don't want to buy a stolen car. And in Bitcoin equivalents, if there are coins that are originated from either a wallet that receives stolen funds, or money that is related to a darknet market, or money that is related to, let's say, like a ransom scam. So because the Bitcoin blockchain is easily traceable, you can keep track of where the stolen money goes. And essentially, to limit like any kind of regulatory potential, compliance issues, you might want to freeze if any of this stolen money reaches your accounts. And to mitigate the risk, essentially. So you don't want to be the new like unknown owner of a stolen car, but you want to like report it to the cops, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Hans. Yeah, so that problem you just mentioned was the reason for several countries, for several companies in the world to provide the services for different companies. I mean, like they release some software, and we call this software AML tools. So as I told before, that you can do your KYC tools. What they did with these tools. And AML tools, they scan actually your transaction and show you the connection of your wallet with illegal activities. And there is a big question how they did it, how they mark blockchain with different entities. Yeah, so they can say there is address. If this address connects with some service, let's say exchange, yeah, so we can call that this is a cluster, and this cluster has a lot of addresses. Then this cluster could be connected with different types of activities as I showed you before. So okay, this is a lot of addresses from exchange. We can call this cluster exchange Binance, for example. Another cluster could be connected with some darknet service. Okay, a lot of addresses. So this is like shown on this slide. So a lot of connections could be on one cluster, in other clusters, and this smaller circles. This is just like random addresses on blockchain. And then using this connection, you can check using AML tools. You can check how big is the risk score that your cryptocurrency connected with different types of these services. Yeah, and this is screenshot from our software AMLbot. You can just put your address there, and you can see there as a general risk score. So this address for not so big BTC, but it shows how this crypto connected with different types of activity on the blockchain. And actually, that's it. So as I told before, so that's it about AMLbot. This is a screenshot, and it's enough for now. It's enough to be compliant with this regulation rules. So you need to provide some services to install some AML tools on your services to check what kind of cryptocurrency you accept on your service. And I want to say that there are 4 big companies in the world, like Chainalysis, well-known, CipherTrace, Elliptic, Crystal. So it's like big 4. And all these companies, they mostly used by big companies in the world. It's like governmental institution, big well-known exchanges, and so on, so on. So when we when we started our business, we came up with the idea that some small businesses, yeah, like OTC traders or some wallet providers, there are many of these companies, and probably they don't have so much resources. I mean, money, let's say, they don't have so much resources to be connected with these big 4 companies. So they need to sign up a year contract. They need to pay in advance like thousands of euros, and they need to install. So they need to do KYC, sign contract, and so on, so on. But if you
make it easy for the little guy.
Yeah,
make it easy for the little guy.
Yeah, it's not so easy for the little guy. So that's why we came up with the idea of AMLbot. So it's very easy service to use, but it's comprehensive. You can just go to website, or you can go to the Telegram bot, and you can check if you end user, let's say, if you're a small business SME, so you can use our API, and you can check the same through the API, and that's enough to be compliant with regulators' rules. So it's how to say, acceptable. Yeah, it's acceptable for small businesses.
Right.
Yeah, there is we already talked about that, but I want to just maybe, hence for you it could be interesting. I want just to mention this pros and cons of regulation, because this is a really very hot topic nowadays. We have our group in Telegram. We have more than 400 people, and most of them are OTC traders, brokers, yeah, and they have a lot of problems with this exchange blockings, and they are end users as well. So a lot of people, they're against these regulations, of course, because before that crypto was easy to use. No, not any companies, there were not any companies like Chainalysis without all these rules and so on, so on.
Right. And I mean, yeah, before, crypto really used to be like this. You get away from the influence of the state, that, you have your money without the government. So why would you suddenly add the government to still keep track of everything?
Yeah, I explained this another connection with the cars. Maybe you know that at the beginning of car industry, there were no rules for how to drive the car.
Right.
And at the beginning, there were a lot of car accidents, like because people use their car as they wanted. And after that, they released some rules, some regulations, and they were really strict. There was a guy with who worked near with the car with a very slow speed, and it was ridiculous, you know. And after that, these rules became more, let's say, they polished these rules and they became more addictable. And nowadays what we have with the car rules, you can use your driver license and you can use it everywhere in the world, almost, yeah. You can go another country and you can rent a car, you can drive it everywhere because it's the same rule for the whole world. The same could be with the cryptocurrency. It's not only, nowadays, it's not only for crypto to crypto transactions and so on, and it will be more global because nowadays most of the problems with regulation are for the big companies, for the banks, for exchanges, and so on, so on. So, after some time, we accept that crypto will be more popular among, it's like mass adoption, let's say, yeah.
So you're not one of those like anarchists, but you're like more like pro-regulation.
I changed my mind several times, really. At the beginning, I was like,
same.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we need to stop this child abuse. It was like last year, it was a big news about some South Korea web service, but it's like really bad stuff, you know. So somebody need to stop that. Then I came up with the idea, wait, but it's really dangerous for crypto in general because it was popular just due to anonymous transaction. And then I think that nowadays, I think that crypto is so powerful, we can see that just only 1% of Bitcoin, no, not only Bitcoin, all crypto is a dirty crypto, yeah, only 1%. So, and there are so many projects like DeFi and so on nowadays in the world that it's really big industry. And I don't think that this kind of regulation will stop mass adoption, because the same, it's a funny stuff in Ukraine. I can tell you with our laws, because and in Russia as well. So they try to release some laws in the policy, yeah, but they argue a lot and they postpone. And when in the end, when they came up with the final decision, what they should put in their laws, it's too late. I mean, the industry is so fast that they even don't know what is DeFi. They don't know what is DeFi. They don't have this explanation in their laws, and they can release some laws for the really old stuff, which is nobody use anymore. You know, so they need to be up to really fast, up to date. But for the old fiat area, they like, how to say, old tradition guys, you know. So I think that crypto will be one head a half, you know, but of course it's some regulation, some strict, some problems for the companies, especially as I told you before. So they need to add a lot of services in their company. But I don't think that it will kill, let's say, industry. Bitcoin.
I mean, of course, right. And I think one of the good parts is that once you have like this regulatory scene more established, then it will also make it a lot easier for any kind of like large institutions that want to get more involved with the cryptocurrency, both as, you know, investing directly into the buying like coins, but also investing in cryptocurrency related companies. And if the scene is like, you know, more established and more regulated, then it will be a more acceptable plan B for a lot of these big corporations. Yeah. So in that sense, it has a lot of future promise.
Yeah, I agree with you. Another thing I want to mention that even FATF, they are not very clear with their rules, you know. So there is still a lot of doubts about what actually should I do in order to be compliant. Like, give me the list, you know, give me the list and I will do it. Maybe not all of them. So what is the most essential part? what is just additional part, and what it could be for my country or for my jurisdiction. Only so the FATF gave the general recommendation, and all these specific parts should be from the government, from your country. But sometimes it's for the low suits, it could be difficult. They probably don't know how to implement these rules. In Ukraine, for example, they ask crypto community to help. So actually, crypto community wrote some laws how to regulate crypto community. It's funny, yeah.
No, but that's actually good. That's
yeah, it's good.
Really
yeah,
good.
Yeah, it's good. The same was in Russia because they argue a lot. And at the beginning, a lot of SME, like Cointelegraph, they post a lot of sentence like ideas that Russia will ban crypto, because it was for so long. They spent like 2 years just to release one first law about what is crypto in general. It's like give explanation what is a crypto, and they took them. It took them 2 years, and just because crypto is banned in China, and Russia has really close connection with China. So a lot of people thought that crypto will be banned in China as well. But finally, last month, they accept one law, and it will be the same like in other countries in Europe, let's say.
That's good, at least. Positive news.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it from my side. Yeah, thanks, guys, for your attention. Just a little bit about me. Yeah, about my group, as I told, if you want to join in Telegram. But it's mostly Russian speaking, but we also discuss in English. You can ask your questions there. Yeah, and also you can check your crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum in our bot on the website or in Telegram. And you are welcome to connect me on LinkedIn as well. I will be happy to answer your questions.
All right. And next up, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Estonian crypto license situation also, because that one also had like a big update early this year. So, 2020 is a pretty big year. So a lot has happened. So now that we understand.
I will stop sharing my screen. So maybe you would like something.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen in a moment.
Okay.
I had a question for Artem.
Oh, yeah, please ask.
Who else can answer? When I go check my, let's say the transaction, because I receive the money, then I can see the transaction, and I see there is a risky, risky things going on there. What should I do with it? Do I report to somebody, or I just try to sell it as fast as I can?
Yeah, that's great. That's the best question. We are a recommendative service, so we can solve your problem. We can just show you that you have a problem. Yeah, there is a very common thing to use mixers, but I would recommend you to be careful with these services, because it depends how dirty is your crypto. If you accept like 1 Bitcoin and that's the whole money you have, and this Bitcoin have a clear connection with darknet, so our AMLbot will show you 100% risk score. So it's really dirty Bitcoin. And of course, I think after that you can use mixers. But after mixer, you could have, let's say, maybe 50% risk. Because as I showed before, mixers is also in the middle, let's say. It's the middle risky services. After that, but you will not see another connection of your Bitcoin with other services. So it's like cut the history of your crypto. Do you understand what I mean? But
just keep it in a wallet and do nothing with it.
No. I mean, yeah. So it's I told you that mixer is a very common way to do something with your dirty crypto. If you don't want to use mixer, I will never recommend people to do that. So you can try some exchange which does not have a strict KYC or AML rules. It's, let's say, small exchange, not like Binance and other stuff. And after this, if they will accept this Bitcoin and you will be not blocked, after that, that's the same. If you check this, after that, if you check your Bitcoin address from this exchange, our service and other services, AML tools, they will show you that, okay, you don't have any other history. Now your history is this exchange. So there are several ways what to do with this one, but it's risky. It's risky. We recommend to use our service before you accept any currency. So how to do it? You want to buy Bitcoins, Bitcoins, and you ask the guy who will sell you the Bitcoin. You can ask, usually it's
I was like assuming like when I give a service and he pays me something, and then I realized, oh no, this money I got was used like for some other reasons.
So you can check his wallet before they accept some money from him. So you want to buy, or you can just accept these coins to your service. You have a wallet, for example, crypto wallet, and you before you accept Bitcoins, you can check his address of his wallet.
So I have to get his public address first and just
and if you see there is a big risk score, you can say, sorry guy, I will not have business with you, or give me another address but it's also tricky. He can show you at the beginning some address, but then deposit you from another one. But you know, it's not so common nowadays. Usually if somebody install our software by API, they can see this dirty coins at the beginning. So
I think also this problem will be gone with the smart contracts, because you will say that this has to be from this address. And
that's a good option, But also one thing to keep in mind is that if you're an individual, then the risk of this affecting you will be pretty low. So typically the main risk comes for these bigger operators like exchange sites and other like site owners that actually have like this illegal like AML and KYC requirements, and they actually like have to keep like strict track on all of the transactions. But if you're a regular user, especially if you're dealing with smaller amounts, then it's reasonably unlikely that this will affect you in any way. And perhaps if it does, then it just might be an exchange site like just asking you about it. So you don't have to like worry about too much really.
Yeah, I can recommend to use, for example, this AML tool if you just end user, like once in a month, for example. Or before you deposit your assets to the big exchanges. So before you deposit, you just check it in our AMLbot, and you see, okay, I accept a lot of Bitcoins, and all of them are clean. So after that, you can deposit. If you see that it's dirty, so then you can use another service and deal with this. The same with our clients, mostly OTC brokers. They accept a lot of crypto to their wallets, and in the end of the month, they check all their wallets if everything is good, so they continue their business. Okay.
All right. So I'll talk a little bit about the Estonian crypto licenses. So we've gone through a lot of stuff already. So I'll try to keep it, a little bit fast-paced and, keep it exciting. So I'll give you a little bit about the brief introduction. So in 2017, Estonia first introduced its crypto license system, and there was two types of crypto licenses. So one was for operating financial services, like exchanges and similar. And the other part was for operating cryptocurrency wallet services. So the wallet services were not necessarily dealing with fiat, but you're still like operating a crypto wallet and accepting user deposits. So those were like the two main types of crypto licenses. And at that time, the crypto licenses used to be a lot cheaper, around like, 300 euros or so. So it was pretty accessible. And especially in the ICO hype, a lot of companies use this Estonian crypto licenses and also incorporated in Estonia, because especially due to the EU residency, incorporating in Estonia was actually pretty accessible. So one of the consequences that it had was that Estonia was actually the fourth biggest country in terms of the ICO funds raised. So of course, a lot of these were foreign projects that incorporated in Estonia, but we're still like up there, up with Singapore and Malta and Switzerland. So I think in a way it was pretty beneficial for Estonia to kind of get its name on the board. So of course, ICO scene had a lot of bad apples also, but we don't talk about those right now. But of course, in part due to those bad apples, Estonia also had to kind of re-evaluate its crypto license system. And the change finally happened early this year, I believe in March or so. And they moved over to a new crypto license system. So there were a few big changes. So first was that there's a lot more strict regulatory and compliance requirements. So they actually are looking into like each different company, whereas before you could just have a company, like a blank company, and you get a license and do nothing with it. Like you could legit be sitting on it and do nothing. But now these new licenses, you actually have to actively be operating in business. And if you haven't been operating your company for like last 6 months, for example, then they close your license. So that's like one example for the requirements. And there are many. Then there's actually like operating capital requirements. So you need to have 12,000 euros in share capital. So of course you can use that for your company operations, but it's something that you have to put up upfront, and you can't just like, randomly make a crypto license on the go. And the other thing is that the two types of licenses were combined. So before there was like a wallet license and a financial institution license, but now there's a unified crypto, like virtual money license essentially. And the cost of that license is approximately 3,500. So it's gone up like 10x in price. So like a good cryptocurrency. And I'll give you guys an overview. One moment. So I'm going to share an overview of what the crypto licenses were like in 2018, I believe. Wait, is this Zoom thing working fine? Wait, I'll stop sharing and then share again. So essentially, I'm going to compare what the license situation was like in 2018 and what the situation is like today. And I'm going to just take a bit of a moment to sort the Excel thing out. Hopefully it'll work now. Zoom doesn't like Excel for some reason. Let's see if I can full screen it. It's really cutting out, huh? Yeah, that's a shame. Give me one moment. I'm gonna pull it up. Give me one moment. It's crashing my entire Zoom call. Can you guys even still hear me?
Yes, we actually saw the Excel too.
Oh, can you see it right now?
Now I see only you.
Ah, God. I think Zoom is like really crashing on me.
When you said I should try full screen, then we saw the Excel, but you were
For a
talking.
moment.
It's not working.
Well, it crashed. Let me see. Okay. Share.
Hans, maybe you can make a screenshot of your
I
and then
might.
show us the screenshot.
I'll try share the entire screen. That might
Oh
work.
yeah, seems like something is changing.
All right. No, it still keeps crashing.
It's loading. It paired.
No. It's having some kind of issue.
Could you maybe save this document like PDF?
That's a good idea. Okay, one moment. But it might also be just like some kind of video settings for Zoom. But I'll save it real quick. So PDF. I mean, if it doesn't work, I can share it after. So maybe that's not so cool, but okay. So it's saving. Let me see if I can pull it up.
By the way, you mentioned the prices for the licenses. Both licenses are like €1,000, or what was the price?
So the new licenses, it's like 3,500, but that's for like both types of license. So
okay.
It's like combined now.
Okay.
But before it was, I guess it was like 300 each.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Share screen. Okay, let me share this. My screen share just keeps crashing. That's a shame. Stop sharing. Nah. Okay, that's a bit of a shame. But I guess I'll just kind of go over it. So I'll talk a little bit about the general gist. So when I'm looking at this 2018 list, then actually like a really large majority tends to be these smaller companies. And we actually did an analysis of basically all of these companies. So we went through each of the websites and we gave the site a rating depending on the web presence and depending on the business model. And there were a few like bigger ones, like, you know, like AML markets and Mothership Exchange. And, you know, there was like trade.io and a bunch of like this, there's like also like some ICO projects and such. So there was a decent amount of also financial services that were actually using the Estonian license actively, which was pretty nice to see. And even some like perhaps like unexpected ones, because there was like some gaming related markets, for example, which also actually benefit from like a virtual currency license, even though they don't deal with cryptocurrencies. And there's even stuff like Polybius and such. So it was really interesting. And if you look at the 2020 licenses situation, then it becomes a little bit fewer companies that actually opened the license in 2020. So if I count how many licenses, so from start of April onwards, the new licenses took place. And in the last 4 months, there have been, let me count, 84 new licenses. So 84 companies have paid these €3,500 for the license. And they're of course also paying additional cost for the license, like compliance related stuff. So there was one estimate that the Estonian companies that do like incorporation and that help with Estonian crypto license compliance, there's like 3 or 4 main companies that do this kind of consulting. And there was an estimate that they currently charge around 20,000 euros per year, or no, like 30,000, I guess. It was like, no, like 18K, I guess. But it was like 1,500 euros per month that they charge for keeping up the compliance. So that's kind of the cost of outsourcing your Estonian crypto license compliance. So the amount that you pay to the government might be only like a small fraction of what you end up paying in total. So in the 2018 list, I actually counted up which were like the bigger consultancy companies also that were involved. So around like 107 licenses were operated by a specific single company. I'm not gonna like name them, so it's not gonna be like shilling or anything. Then another one did 50 licenses, and then there was another one that did 36. And that was in 2018. So I don't have the same stats in 2020, but of course the numbers have significantly dropped for the newest new licenses. So of course there's still a lot of like old ones that were from 2018, 2019, and early 2020. But if you guys didn't see the news, then there was a large news article about how Estonia suspended a lot of the crypto licenses. And the reason for that actually was that, firstly, a lot of these were these like older type licenses that were a lot cheaper. They didn't have the same regulatory requirements. And these companies were not actively using them. That's like the big thing. So a lot of people in the media speculated that it was because of like dirty, like, you know, either some kind of like financial issues or because they were doing like money laundering. But I don't think that's really the case. So I think they were just inactive companies that got their licenses suspended for that reason. Yeah, I think this is like a good time to start opening it up for the audience questions. So we can do like a few questions from the audience, see how many like uncovered or still exciting topics we have, and then we can wrap the event up for the day. So you can ask questions for me if you want to ask about the Estonian crypto license situation, or you can also ask Artem if you want to ask more about, you know, KYC-bot or AMLbot, and also like the other regulatory questions that you might have. So the floor is open. You can ask in chat, or you can also ask over mic. But so Artyom, I'll kind of get I'll throw in a couple of questions for you. Okay. So what's your like general like gut feeling on the decentralized finance? Do you think it will like thrive alongside of the normal like traditional like regulated industry? So do you think that it will like die down, or do you think that it will like thrive alongside the industry? So like peer-to-peer exchanges and you know, like even like exchanges with no KYC requirements.
Yeah, that's a good question, but I can't explain what could be with this area. But
I kind of want to also add that there's a really big trend in also these type of exchanges that use smart contracts. And you know, you can't really block smart contracts.
Yeah. So as I told before, that it's actually a new direction in the area of crypto. Yeah, and from the side of regulators, I can see how what they will do in this area. Yeah, and actually I even can't so I cannot say anything about what they will do with this, yeah, because for now they want to regulate the old stuff, the old area of cryptocurrency. With the new areas, I don't know what they will do, if they will be up to date or what was they, because for now I don't see not so many news about regulators of this area, regulation of this area. Really, it's a difficult question, let's say, and probably
Yeah, it's true.
probably we need just to wait, and if at the beginning it will be from the Fed once again. Yeah, so they will release some recommendation, and then they will need some more time to implement these rules. So, but for now, I don't know. I don't see any news about that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm gonna upload the 2018 crypto license report. It's actually pretty cool. We formatted out really nicely.
Which kind of report you are?
Wait, give me one moment. I'm gonna share it.
Okay.
So change to anyone the link. And I'm gonna paste it in the chat. So this is for people that are like really interested in like the older crypto license situation. So we don't have like the same kind of like detailed analysis of like each one done for 2020, but it's something that might do at some point. And I think we might take like maybe one more, maybe two questions from the audience. So we're kind of like catching up on time. So I'll quickly mention what there is on the PDF. So it's like a exported Excel report that covers all of the licenses from a certain point in 2018. And it's sorted by a certain kind of like value ranking. So 5-star is the companies that have like a really good presence and seem to be really established. And 1-star is for the companies that, they barely have a web presence, like, some kind of dummy website and not doing much business activity. And then there's a lot of companies that got 0 points. So they might have no company listed. They might be like a holding company. They might be inactive, but they had a license at the time. So I imagine that a lot of those companies may have lost their license by now. All right, so is there any more questions from the chat for now? Give us at least something. There's a recommendation that we should try Jitsi.org instead of Zoom, which might be a good idea because, Zoom, I think the good part about Zoom is that a lot of platforms have access to it. So people are used to using it, and also that, you can use it on mobile or PC or iOS, etc., even on Linux. So that's like a good part about it.
Oh, Hans, sorry for interrupting. I also share in our chat some article about why crypto companies lost their licenses in Estonia. It's right. From some, so it's from our colleague Nikolai Demchuk, and he's a lawyer, and he was in Estonia and he wrote this article. So we know this problem, and you are actually right. You are right exactly why they lost this. It's not like the problem was explained in the media in the beginning. So at the beginning, I don't remember which SME media post this, but at the end they were agreed that it's probably not so big deal because these companies were not so good organized and so on.
Yeah, makes sense. So we got a question from the chat. Slava is asking, do you guys also offer analytics and tracking for stable coins?
I think it's about AMLbot, you mean?
Yeah, right.
No, not for now.
Did you guys keep track of Tether though?
Not for now, but it will be in the end of September.
Oh, you're planning to release it soon?
Yeah. It's very high demanded coins, because a lot of transaction, for example, in Asia, they use Tether, yeah, for that. Yeah, but it's another question. Tether and stable coins, they were released, let's say, comparing to Bitcoin, they were used not so long time ago. So probably they were not so connected with illicit activities. You know, they are maybe not so dirty.
Or they might be especially dirty because nobody keeps track of those.
It depends. Yeah, it's another types of cryptocurrency. Yeah. So because Bitcoin was long time ago, it's like 10, 11 years ago. But stable coins, I don't remember for Tether when it was released. But nowadays it's really very popular. The last report from Chainalysis, it's about a transaction in Asian market. Like a lot of traders, a lot of brokers use Tether nowadays. Of course, but mostly for corruption things. Yeah, so it's money laundering, like typical money laundering. It's not like dark market and so something else.
Makes sense. I think it's a good point to wrap this up for today. So I'd like to thank you, Artem, very much for joining us today. It's been great having you and a lot of good thoughts. So it's been awesome learning about compliance and the AML scene. And I'd like to also massive thanks to all of the participants that have joined today to tune in. It's been great having you around, very much appreciated. And we'll be kicking things up next month on September 25th, and we'll be diving into decentralized finance. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be good stuff. So today we covered all of the essential stuff. So AML5, a lot of big changes in 2020. We learned about AMLbot, which is the next competitor to Chainalysis. The big like US-based giant, and we need like a European underdog to take those over. Then we learned how tainted coins is a concept, and how tracking the transaction history actually can help prevent accepting like funds with a fraudulent source. Then we learned about the decentralized finance regulations and also the development of Estonian crypto regulations over the years, which has changed a lot. So I think it's been a pretty, exciting evening with, how to put it, there's been a lot of information. So hopefully it wasn't like overwhelming for anyone, and hopefully it wasn't like, underwhelming either. I think it's, just the perfect sweet spot. And so, thank you guys so much. It's been great having you. And
thanks, Hans.
Yeah, any last words?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, and thanks everyone for attention. Yeah, hope you enjoyed this meeting.
All right, thank you guys so much, and see you next month. Take care, guys.